Okay, come sit with me. Grab your coffees, grab your hot drinks, grab your water, grab your popcorn because we're going to talk. You know, when you love someone so much, you almost convince yourself that it just has to work. That was me in the last 2 years or 3 years. I I really believed that the person I was with was the person that I was gonna build a life with, and he was gonna be my forever partner, and he was gonna be my happy ending. I loved him deeply. I showed up. I tried for 2 years to make it work, but I realized that the truth was I was in love with his potential and not his reality. He had commitment issues, he had his own demons, and I'm not going to get into too much of what he was like as a person and why things had ended and things like that, because I don't think that would interest you very much. The context that you would need to know is that I kept trying to fix things, and it was things I didn't really break. I kept shrinking myself into his box just to keep the peace and just to keep him happy. And that version of me in that relationship just wasn't me. It wasn't a true reflection of who I was, but I was someone who gave him that power in a way, gave him that power to take over my whole life in a way. I kept fighting, I kept doing everything it was to make it work, and it just wasn't, obviously, it wasn't working because it wasn't being reciprocated at the time. And the truth is, I was just a watered down version of the woman that I was becoming, or just of the version of the woman that should have been here all along when it wasn't. When it ended, it didn't feel like just a breakup. It had felt like my entire world had come crashing down. And it's like my entire identity had collapsed, because the truth of it all was that at the time of the breakup, I wasn't just losing him, I was losing the story that I had written in my head. I had lost the future that was in my head. I had lost the dream life. Um yeah, I'd lost like the dream life that I had in my head and I was envisioning for the both of us. And I believe like a lot of people go through this when they go through a breakup. They lose they lose that kind of fantasy when that person walks out the door. And when that happens, it's like you lose that version of yourself that you only knew when you were with that person. Um, you lose the only version that you know because you build it for that person. And I don't know if any of you have done this, but I think a lot of women, including myself, we break away parts of ourselves to fit into a man's vision of us, a man's box that he has for us. And that's definitely something I did in that relationship. I really gave him the power to break down my likes and dislikes, my hobbies, the fact that I was influencing at the time. He had a problem with it, so essentially I stopped doing it. Um, I stopped watching Bollywood movies, even though I really enjoy them. Not all of them, like that's my own opinion. I don't enjoy all of them, but I've always been a big Bollywood fan. I stopped watching those. I stopped dancing around the house. He took little things that added up to my joy, and by the end of it, I was honestly like a shell of a human. I didn't like recognize myself in any sort of way. And at that time, I felt embarrassed. I felt confused. I felt rejected and I felt heartbroken. I don't know if it's because I come from the Punjabi culture and we just don't think about, or we don't talk about breakups and relationships unless it's something to do with a marriage. I think it's become a bit more normal to talk about divorce, but it hasn't been widely accepted, except like in this community, in this brown community, to talk about just a relationship ending before you say your vows, like with my family especially, if I know someone's getting married, like my cousins or an auntie and uncle, we don't necessarily know they've been in a relationship beforehand until we get a wedding invitation through the door, and we're like, oh, this person's getting married. Didn't know they were even in a relationship. It's that kind of thing. My family is a lot like that. And when it came to my relationship, I honestly hadn't told many people apart from my close friends on Instagram, my personal close friends, and then my family. Like, not a lot of people knew in terms of here and there kind of people, like the people I trusted the most. Um, but when you go through a breakup, that when that breakup just happens, it's like the world goes silent, but your mind goes louder because you're just thinking of all these things where it's like, what could I have done better? Maybe you do blame yourself for a bit, and then slowly you kind of start to realize that it wasn't just your fault, or there's like accountability, and then there's full on blaming yourself. And I think when in the first maybe 4 months of the breakup, I really did blame myself. Um, but slowly, now that it's been 10 months, I don't anymore. It's just something that's happened and I've accepted it and I've left it at that and I've moved on. Um, but it was like I was just thinking of all the red flags. Um, yeah, I was thinking of all the red flags that I ignored because I wanted to believe in the good. I really wanted to see that those good things were still there and still in him and still part of our relationship. It just turned out that I I just had buried so much of myself just to be loved by this person. And now looking back on it, I can really see how much of myself I did actually pluck away just to fit into whatever his version of me was or whatever he wanted from me. I'm not gonna lie to you, the days after the breakup, they were really, really dark. And I didn't recognize myself in that time. I was quite numb and I was quite directionless and I was detached and I was just surviving at that point. Even up until I would say summer this year, I just was just surviving and processing that grief. And I had to do it in any single way that I knew how to handle it. And for me, that looked like pushing through, crying when I needed to, distracting myself in positive ways, and focusing on myself. I really channeled all of that energy and all of that love for him back into myself. And I think that is the only way you can work through any sort of loss or grief. That breakup wasn't the first breakup I've ever been through. I went through one about 4 years ago. And what I learned from this second breakup is that it triggered a lot of things from my first breakup. When I went through my first, I was 21, turning 22. So I was quite young, still quite naive, and because it was my first breakup, I didn't know how to process that. I had changed into a different person. I started influencing, but not in a way that was positive. I became quite selfish. When I say selfish, I mean literally only thinking about me, what I want, and I never thought about how my actions and my words would trigger other people or upset other people, namely my family. And they point it out to me all the time that when I was an influencer, I wasn't the nicest person. And I guess that was a blessing in disguise that I had stopped doing that. But it just the second breakup really triggered my old insecurities and my old triggers and my old pain that I never processed properly. Um, but to be honest, I think over the last few months since I went to Turkey in August and then Malta in September, when I went on those two trips, I something had clicked in that time. I don't know whether it was me being away from the UK. Um, Something had clicked inside me where I just wanted to pivot and do a whole 180 on the circumstances of my life. I really, because I was waiting for closure for someone who wasn't giving it, I channeled my energy into completely looking after myself and looking after my heart, my mental, my health in so many different ways. And that has become the priority of my life. And then when you go through that process of getting to that click, because I don't think a click is just a click. I think something clicks when you've gone through a certain process or you've gone through a certain amount of steps to get to that click. That's the progress in itself. And that's the hard work getting to that click. Um, Especially if you're doing it in a way that is positively impacting your life. If there's a click for you to do it in a negative way, I think that kind of bites you in the future. It comes back to you in a different way. Or it might come back to you in the same way but with a different person or something like that, because I've seen that too. I've basically relived the same heartbreak in a different way and from a different person, but it triggered the same things. It triggered the same pain, the same abandonment, the same traumas that I've had in my past. But what I really did realize is that he didn't actually break me as a person. I'm still here, I'm still alive, I'm doing good, touch wood, I'm doing really well. Um, but it's just the fact that he had revealed where I had abandoned myself so that I could have the power to bring those things back and allow them to come back in stronger, yeah, in much stronger ways. Um, And to be honest, that's when I started choosing me and I started choosing to turn my life around again and really really focus back on what I enjoy doing, what my daily routines are, prioritizing my need for space, need for creativity, my need for wisdom, anything of that sort. Like, it was just the craziest experience. I feel like the last 10 months has been the craziest experience. I went through that breakup, I went through the turmoil, I did a couple of trips, and something just changed. Like, even when I started Eminence Atelier, that has been the biggest driving force of my transformation, and I mean a mental transformation. I feel like for now I'm building the foundations, um and the emotional side of things, and I'm building the foundations to have a bigger, better, more peaceful, stress-free life in the future. It's not where I am now. I'm not at that end point, I'm not at that goal, but I know I'm building such strong foundations this year. And so I believe next year is where I'm going to be able to see all of that in fruition. I'm going to be able to see the hard work that I'm putting in, and I'm going to be able to see the results and see why all these things really happened. Um, but I just wanted to say that, like, healing is just not a one size fit all. It's not linear, and I really understand now why people say that, because it really is not. There, especially at the peak of the breakup, I was going through days where it was really good and I was feeling really good about myself, but then I might come home and I'm crying for hours afterwards. Or, it's just, I feel like healing has been, or the process of healing has been so glamorized on social media, because it's not like a montage. It's not that 30-second TikTok or Instagram reel you see where people are picking out the best parts of their healing journeys, and they're putting it into like an aesthetic video on TikTok. It's not like that. Yes, there are days where it's really, really good and things are going really well. But to be honest, the whole process of healing is slow and it's uncomfortable. And you have to be okay with that, with being uncomfortable, so that you can enjoy the peace that comes with being comfortable at the end. And when you go through your entire process of healing, no matter what it looks like, you have to be able to say that you're proud of the journey that you've just taken or that you've just been on. You have to say that you're at a place where you can finally be free from it all. And you have to be at a place where you won't let the same things happen, or you won't ignore the same red flags in another person, whether it's a romantic relationship, platonic relationship, friendship, whatever it may be. You'll be able to see those things in the next person and pick them out, or you'll be able to filter through whoever you meet and decide that this is the person I want to be with, this is the person I want to share my energy with, this is the person I want to hold space for. um so it's just healing. As long as you're doing it in a positive way, it will come back to you in a positive way. For me right now, that looks like doing eminence. I'm really pouring my energy, my whole soul, my whole, just everything, any bit of extra time I have is going into working on eminence. And like I said, that's been such a big part of my healing process, because I've really channeled everything into this. And now that I'm doing this YouTube channel, I can help you guys um go through these various things like heartbreak, financial struggles, anything like that. I can help you guys with them because I've been through these things, and I've really learned how to navigate through them through experience and through partnerships and through research and through emotional control, or just loss of emotional control. You learn through your negatives and you definitely appreciate your positives. um and for me, healing looks like a few different things. um like I said before, healing looked a little bit different, where I would turn myself into like an alter ego. I went blonde for a while, 3 4 years ago, and that was pretty much my alter ego. She was more bitchy, she was more cutthroat, she was a bit more I don't care, she was a bit more, things that I'm not necessarily biologically, things that I'm not necessarily like. I would say I'm a bit more emotional, even though I do, like, a big problem of mine, I would admit to, is that I do hide my emotions. But then you can also see them on my face. I won't say it, but you'll see it on my face. So any emotion I have, I like to write it down. For me, a huge part of healing has been journaling, and I use my 5-minute journal every day. I've been doing that since the end of July, beginning of August this year. So it hasn't been that long, but I really have been focusing 5 day, 5. I've really been focusing my 5 minutes a day on just writing down my intentions for the day and reviewing at the end of my day to see what I've done, and if I can do anything the following day. Something like that. I believe that has really changed me in terms of realigning myself, refocusing myself. And if I'm in a slump, then I know that I haven't been journaling because there are days where I do kind of miss it, or like I forget to do it or something. But I know that I feel misaligned when I haven't journaled that day. So it's come to that mentally. And like I said, you need to let yourself feel. You need to let yourself cry if you need to. You need to let yourself draw if you feel like that's what you need to do. You need to feel, if you feel like you want to sing, if you want to dance, any way to express how you're feeling, you should just go ahead and do it. Because the longer you keep your feelings trapped, the longer, the harder it will be to process them. And then they might even come back to bite you later. Um, so you really have to go through that process without rushing yourself, and doing it in the most genuine, authentic way possible. Like I said, eminence for me was the biggest thing, but I also poured myself into self-care and self-love, and really looking after what I want. I go out with my girlfriends and I go and have a good time. It might not be all the time, like I don't get to do that all the time. Um, but anything that makes me happy, I'll just go ahead and do. At the beginning stages of my breakup, I remember I went to a lot of massages. Um I went to a chiropractor because I know that when I go through some sort of stress or turmoil, I manifest it into my body, so you can see it physically that if I look a bit more swollen, if I have like cortisol face, I know I'm going through some stress, and I know I keep it all in my shoulders and my hips. So if I feel any sort of pain in I always feel like pain in my left shoulder, like specifically here at the back. If there's any pain there, then I know that something's really bothering me or has bothered me, and it just hasn't come out of my body. So I go to my chiropractor and he sorts my shoulders out for me. And then the biggest lesson of that, and the biggest thing that you can do whilst you're healing, is you have to let your truth settle instead of escaping it. And I think that is a problem I've had in the past, where I've wanted to escape my problems by distracting myself with various things or just running away in general. And I just feel like this is the first time I've really allowed myself to process to a point where I can navigate through the stress, the turmoil, the grief, whatever else I go through, or anything negative I go through. I can now navigate that because I know what that process looks like for me. I know now that I need to journal. I need to sit down and and keep 5 minutes to myself to just have my alone time. I need to have my massages. I need to get my nails done. Um I now get my I've had laser before. I don't do it anymore, but that hour that I get that hour that I used to get when I was getting my legs lasered, I would just lie there and basically like not think of anything. I just had some quiet time, or I'd just like gossip with my laser lady. There's always like some sort of person you can talk to. And even if that doesn't look like a parent, a sibling, a friend, if you want to talk to someone that's outside of your circles, like your daily circles, there's always someone to talk to. Like, I got myself a mentor who's a family friend, and I dog sit for her. We take her dog out for walks in the park and we just talk. She's also a medium, so I've been to see her for like readings. I don't really do them anymore just because I'm okay right now. Touch wood. But anytime I feel kind of directionless, I can go to her for a reading. If you guys believe in any of that, if you're more spiritual in that sense, then maybe see a medium, maybe see a doctor, maybe see a therapist. Just have someone that you can go to outside of your inner circles, who you feel safe around and who you trust, to be able to talk about these things with, because I think that's imperative to have in your daily life, or have in your life in general. No matter if you're going through something negative or positive, you should be able to talk about all of these things in your life without someone already knowing, or knowing who's linked to your problem. For me, I found it quite difficult to talk to my family about my breakup because my ex had his own relationship with a few of my own family members. He was part of my daily household. He would come over a lot, so like my family had already built their connection with him. So it was kind of hard for me to split that out once the breakup had happened, because they were processing their own grief with that. And I come from a very emotional family. Like, once they, not so much my sisters, but my mum specifically, she had built a very special connection with my ex. So it took her a while to grieve in her own way. So if you have a situation like that, then I believe it's good to have someone who's not so connected to you to talk about these things. Um, and then when it came to me journaling, I got into it because of a YouTuber that I watch. I've really been watching YouTube like vlogs and self-care and self-development stuff in the last, like, I would say year. I've been watching these and like reading books and things. But I really, really love Jazz Turner here on YouTube. I've binge watched her whole channel from start to finish, and I just learn from her, and I listen to podcasts, and I watch Aaliyah's Face. I listen to Haley Gamba, who I've been a fan of for the past maybe 5, 6, 7, or however long she's been on YouTube. I think she's been on YouTube like a decade or something. And I do my affirmations, I do Habits of a Goddess. I really learn through all these strong, amazing women because I aspire to be like that in the future. And I aspire to have built a foundation so strong that no one can take away my wildest dreams. And those are the women right now. And I love Tam Core as well. Like, I think they're all brilliant women who really know how to inspire the next generation of women. They really know how to make you think differently. They really know how to make you believe that you're meant for more. And truly, I do believe that I'm meant for more. It's not something I've always believed, but I do believe now. Um, and through that, I started creating softness in my life again. Anything to do with like organization, convenience, anything to do with just having routines, because I really thrive in having a routine, having soft mornings, having slow mornings, having my coffees in the morning, having my matchas, having my healthy breakfasts, or just like healthy food throughout the day really, really helped me to create a feminine energy around me. It really allows me to embrace my own feminine energy and step into an aura of softness, kindness, calmness. And that is something that I will strive to continue for the rest of my life. Anything that takes me out of that zone that I've created for myself, I know is not good for me. And anyone who adds to that, I keep close to me. Um, I think that's one of my biggest lessons I've ever had to learn. Um, and I've learned it in some of the worst ways, and I've learned it in some of the best ways. I've had the worst people come into my life, and I've also had the best. And I've really stuck to the people who I feel safe around and who I trust and who I can talk to, who understand me, who are on the same kind of wavelength as me. Even if they're going through their own negatives in their own lives, or they're going through their positives in different ways, as long as our paths align, as long as we can meet in the middle and compromise for each other, I believe that that's really what is going to make you thrive. You can go through this healing journey on your own, but I know essentially that we are all human beings anyway, and we thrive through connections. So if you can go through this healing journey and this process of transformation and self-development and still have someone to connect with and someone that's on your level, I think you'll thrive in so many more ways than just being alone. And I think that's also something that is being glorified on social media, where people are, okay, you could be on Do Not Disturb, that's fine. I'm on Do Not Disturb all the time. But the fact that you are disappearing from the face of the earth, hibernating in a really negative way, and basically isolating yourself, I don't think that's very healthy. And it's something that I have seen on social media where people are disappearing off the face of the earth so they can get to their goals and come back. But you don't realize how much you actually lose in that journey, in that little space as well. um Maybe it's just me. I thrive in connections. I thrive in partnerships. I thrive in friendships, love. I need all of that around me for me to be in that soft feminine era. Maybe it's just because I'm more of an emotional person. Even if I don't show it, I'm still a Pisces, guys. So I'm still very much sensitive. I can put on a straight face, but on the inside I might be dying a little bit, you know? Um so I have my best friends. I have my two best friends that I love with all my heart, and they really help me through anything that I really go through. And I've been friends with both of them for years. And they're the two people outside of my family who I really, really value, who I really consider my sisters outside of my biological sisters. And I keep them close to me whenever I can. And they live busy lives. I live a busy life. And anytime I get to have that quality time with my closest people, I know I'm thriving in that environment because of the way that I come out of that those 2, 3 hours that I'm with those people, you know? It depends on what your energy is like um after meeting a person. And like I said before, that my ex-partner had taken away a lot of my likes and dislikes throughout my process of transformation and self-love and all of these nice little buzzwords. I've really been trying to get these things back, or even trying to make things stronger, or trying to make things work for me at the age that I'm at now. Like, I'm 26. Like, you wouldn't see me at a club every Friday, Saturday, the way I was in, like, after uni. And when I had met my ex at the time, I was basically out every weekend. And now that I'm 26 and I'm focusing on different things, that's not something that I've jumped straight back into. I believe I'm doing things in a slightly different way now. But the biggest thing for me was that when I was with him, I stopped wearing makeup, and now I'm like wearing makeup every day. I'm doing this channel, I'm doing Eminence. Like, my business is centered around beauty and makeup. And so if I was still in that relationship today, I wouldn't be doing all of this. And maybe I would have been even more, like, self-deprecating, because I was doing that a lot of he put a lot of negative thoughts in my head about myself. And I've never been the most secure person. I grew up being bullied, and well, no, more in high school. I was bullied for a while, but I was very much isolated. I didn't have a huge amount of friends until college, until I was 16, 17. Taking care of my space is such a big priority, and it's such a big part of my life. So if my things are not in order, I can't give the best of who I am to other people. I can't give you the energy that you require from me if I don't have the energy to begin with. If I don't have that centered feeling, that realigned feeling in my gut, because I'm not who I'm meant to be in that moment. I'm not who I actually am in that moment. Maybe I'm stressed. Maybe I'm angry. Maybe I'm upset about something, and I just can't give you what you need as a friend, as a sister, as a daughter or something. I just can't give you that. So taking care of my mental well-being, taking care of my physical well-being, and my emotional well-being has been a much bigger priority in my life than it ever has been, because I've never known how to recognize that turmoil in my brain or in my heart. So now that all these things have been triggered, and I know who I am as a person and what I can give to people, slow down. In the last just couple of I'd say just in the last month or so, I've really switched my routine up to being slower and more controlled than ego lifting or getting stressed out and stressing my body out in the gym. It just doesn't work for me. I am going to try again to go back to the gym because I do want to feel stronger by lifting weights. But at the same time, like I said, I'm building the foundation. So I've taken it a few steps back to the beginning, where I'm now focusing on walking and flexibility and endurance. When I started doing all these things, what had really clicked for me, what had really triggered me into working on all these things, was I asked myself who I want to be in the future. I was really thinking about it throughout my process of the breakup, and I really asked myself, who am I going to be at 27? 27 is very close to 30, so who do I want to be in my 30s? And then who do I want to be in my 60s? Who do I want to be when I'm on my deathbed and I'm telling people about my life? It's very different. I imagine someone so different to who I was in that moment, and I decided to take small steps. I'm still taking these small steps to becoming someone so much stronger, so much more wise, so much softer, and so much more aligned. All of me, I can't give you my best energy if I don't feel those best energies at that moment in time, if that makes sense. And a lot of that comes with, like I said, my routines, but it also comes with the discipline I'm trying to build, because I feel like I had lost a lot of my discipline um in my early 20s, early to mid 20s. Um so now that I'm 26 turning 27, I've really, actually, since I turned 26, I've really realized the importance of having some discipline in your life. And that includes like just moving your body. If like sit down all day, then I really feel so disgusting by the end of the day. I'm not in the best mood. I can't eat properly. I'm quite like fidgety in a way. I can't sit for too long. I just feel so out of place. I feel like I'm just not myself in that moment. So as long as I'm moving my body around, even if I'm just like doing the dishwasher, or if I'm cleaning the table after dinner, I need some sort of movement after I've been sitting for so long. Um, and for right now, that looks like Pilates and steps. Um, I think my early to mid 20s has like mostly been about enjoying myself, and it still is to an extent. It still very much looks like I don't want to be so serious about certain things. I don't want to take myself too seriously, but I still want to have some sort of standard, some sort of some sort of routine, some sort of ritual or goal to work on, so that I can be in a much better place when I'm 30, 50, 80, whatever age I'm going to live until. Um, I want to be proud of the progress that I have made and the person that I've become and the goals that I have achieved, um, so that no one can ever take them away from me again. And no one can ever say to me, you didn't work hard enough, or you went the other way, or things turned negative, just anything. And it's not just about what other people would say, because I no longer care, or I no longer say that to myself. I want to be proud of the person that I'm becoming. I want to be able to say to myself that I did it, and I achieved what I wanted to achieve, and I got to a place that I wanted to be. And that's my biggest motivator of my life right now. It's not necessarily fitting into a dress size to be able to wear that dress. It's losing the weight because I wanted to take my health seriously, or I wanted to feel better about myself. When I'm 60, I want to be able to touch my toes. I want to be able to climb the stairs without being out of breath. It's just little things like that that are that count to something much bigger in the future. What I now know about love, I believe now that I've been through this, I've been through essentially two relationships and I've been through two breakups. It's that love shouldn't break you. It should be able to lift you up. It shouldn't make you doubt yourself. It should make you believe in everything that you can achieve. It shouldn't make you feel small. It shouldn't make you chase consistency. And it shouldn't make you feel like the bare minimum is all you are worth. You are worth more than the bare minimum. And there's a reason why it's called the bare minimum, because there's so much more for you to actually have and receive from your partner. So if you have to beg for stability, if you have to beg for the bare minimum, it's not love, it's survival. And it's putting yourself into a box, into that other person's box, which you will find so much harder to climb back out of if you need to in the future. So don't even give yourself even a reason to get to that point in your life. What I now know about myself There's a whole list of things that I now know about myself, or maybe I've like revisited some parts of myself that I had forgotten about before. I know I'm a lot stronger now, but I also know that I also know that very, I'm becoming a lot wiser. I feel like I can help a lot more people if they need it. I feel like I have more answers for people if they need to question something. I feel like I'm kinder now. I feel like I'm softer now. My energy has changed. I feel like I'm a lot more positive and I see that God has a plan. I don't necessarily blame things on God anymore, which I did 10 months ago. Um, I don't beg for clarity. I'm no longer going to beg for clarity. I'm not going to chase potential anymore. I'm not going to ask for the bare minimum, whether that's in a romantic partner or a platonic relationship, a friendship, whatever it may be. If I meet someone new, I'm not going to be asking or begging for anything that I deserve because they should already know that. And to be honest, I'm finally becoming the woman that I should have been before the heartbreak. It's just unfortunate that the universe had to show me in this way, that I deserve a whole lot more in my life. And I do, and I really believe that I do. For anyone going through a breakup right now, if you're feeling heartbroken, if you feel lost, if you feel heavy, it's a process and you're not alone. You're not broken. You're transitioning into someone you can be prouder of, or you could be someone you're really meant to be. The biggest takeaway from this is you're not hard to love. You just love the wrong person. And that is my lesson of life. This is my lesson of the day. This is my lesson of this breakup is that I am not hard to love. Oh, I don't want to get emotional. I don't want to get emotional. Um, I am not hard to love. I just love the wrong person. And I've processed that. I've accepted that. And now I can recognize that in the next person, whoever comes into my life. For now, I'm focusing fully on myself and my finances, my interests, and my friends, my family, everything about me in the most positive way possible so that I can achieve my goals. And I'm not looking to get into another relationship because it just doesn't make sense for my life right now. It's not something that I believe I need. Um, and when a man does come into my life, it would be to add to what I can already give myself. And because I'm still going through this journey of self development, I just don't believe there's a space I can hold for a partner. And I'm really, really okay with that. I'm really enjoying being by myself. And by myself, I mean single, I mean not in a relationship. I like to keep around whoever I believe is good for me and I can be the best for them. But thank you so much for sitting with me today. I really hope you enjoyed it. I really hope it gave you a positive insight to your heartbreak and your grief. Just know that it's not permanent. It's just a temporary phase and you will get through it. Um, just find ways that you can get through it. Find ways that you can fully focus on yourself and be able to get to a place where you are proud of that whole journey and you can look back on your breakup or whatever you're going through and think that you're glad you came out the other side, because I definitely feel that way now. Um, but it's all going to happen very slowly. It's going to happen softly and it's going to happen in our own timing. So you can't rush these things. It's just however long it takes you is how long it's going to take you, you know. I beg you to do it in the most positive ways. Um, and start journaling. If you need a starting point, get yourself a journal, get yourself the 5-minute journal, get yourself anything, a notepad, just where you can write your feelings down. And I believe that really does help start off that whole process of transitioning and navigating through a breakup. It's the most gut-wrenching feeling, but by the end of it, you'll be fine. You really will be fine and you'll be in a better place. So, yeah, please make sure to come back next Sunday at 5 p.m. We'll have another video for you. I'm not sure what it will be yet. But yeah, I'm always here if you need someone to talk to. If you feel like you can confide in me, then please do so. You can message me directly, privately, or you can leave a comment below. And yeah, I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.